What is happening, Miles Biggs Ideas? How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Doing awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome everybody to another week of Increasing Influence. It's our 1:00 hour, and we have a great hour for you today. But first, I want to congratulate Miles Biggs on his book launch. Miles Biggs' Unseen Work, based on the TED Talk as well. And that TED Talk just came out this week as well. Miles, and you are in the top 5 podcasts. You are absolutely killing it. And you're the reason why we have a show like Increasing Influence to take things to the next level. So congrats, my friend. It's Thanks. An honor.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the plug. And if you guys get the book, turn immediately to page 117, because that's the section about Dave. He's one of the characters in the book. So check it out.
I'm seeing a comment from Jordy saying he's having really bad feedback. So I'm not sure whose side that is on, but we'll check that, Jordy. Let us know if it gets any better or any worse. I don't know why that would be happening. All right. Moving on. If anybody else is having bad feedback, please let us know. And if you're a guest or anybody on this show, just turn down the volume in your computer. That helps a lot too. All right. So with that said, Miles, we're going to get into more of what's happening, right? Because the marketing landscape has changed. Now what? That is the big question. Jordy says now our audio is good. Jordy, thank you so much. So one of us did something right. The marketing landscape has changed. Now what? And we're going to have somebody on that I think can talk about that.
Yeah. So we're joined today by Juan Guillen. He's a marketing specialist at Entekra, a name most of you I'm sure have heard. And in chatting with him before, we bring him on. He's in the green room now, or the fish tank, as Dave says, watching us. But
he's down there.
Yeah. He's like a marketing Swiss Army knife. He's doing a lot of things digitally with marketing when it comes to paid advertising, but also web design, and then some graphic design things for printed media as well. So he is really on the front lines of all things marketing in general right now. So he's going to be a great person to pick his brain to see his experience with, where things were, right, where they are now, what's changed, and where we go next when it comes to branding and marketing for all of our own companies.
Yeah, 100%. So why don't we bring Juan in so he's not sitting down in that fish tank any longer?
Instead of talking about you, Juan, we're going to talk to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I hope we have a good talk here. And let's start.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's a pleasure having you on, right? I mean, you're with Entekra, so I mean, you got a big marketing guru, already at that company with Jerry McCahey, and everything that he does. But a lot of times, a lot of work's being done behind the scenes. And Juan Guillen, you've been doing this for a couple of years now in Entekra. Why don't you give us your background? We want to know everything from birth, and don't leave out any of the good, juicy stuff. And we're going to give you about 3-5 minutes. Take what you need. Let's hear it.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Juan Guillen, and I actually come from a background of computer science. So I actually went to college for that. Since I was 18, I was developing websites, building content, as you will. So by content, I refer to like video content, photography, graphics, whether that's like pamphlets or brochures, et cetera, like that. So my background wasn't that. While I was in college, I was working in the marketing department there. So a lot of like student outreach and stuff, which also involved creating content. After graduating, I went to the student housing, if you will. So student housing, I did a lot of graphic design for them. So reaching out to them and getting them in to lease our units and whatnot. And then eventually, I was out of the job and I was looking for something new. I knew my skill set, but I was looking for something a bit challenging. And luckily, my university was actually having this as an alumni sort of website portal where you could go in and see job listings in the area. And that's how I found Entekra. So I found Entekra, and as soon as I saw the website, I knew it was a tech company, and it definitely was a growing company. At the time, it was a startup. So I found Entekra around 2017. And they're I think barely starting. I actually began working with them in late 2018. But I mean, I saw their website and I saw what they were doing on social media. For those 3 people of you that probably haven't heard of the name Jerry McCahey, he is huge on LinkedIn. If you haven't followed him, you should follow him. He's super entertaining and super knowledgeable. So I saw Jerry. I saw Jerry on LinkedIn, and he was putting content like 24/7 every day. And I thought, hey, like this guy like knows what branding and marketing can do in a digital sense. At the time, LinkedIn was fairly new. A lot of people didn't know about it. A lot of people described it as Facebook for business professionals, which probably is still the case. But there was a lot of undervalued, I guess, content placement that you could put on there. So the organic reach that you could get on LinkedIn it's really impressive. And so I saw Jerry, and I decided to apply with them, and I'm here now. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, if you're on LinkedIn and you don't know Jerry McCahey, come on.
Right.
Well, that means we're not running in the same circles in that instance, because he is all over it and really organically does a great job. All right, so why don't we hop into kind of the topics on some of this stuff, Miles and Juan, and let's talk about increasing sales through branding. Right, this is a big topic because, as we know, the last 2 episodes we've been talking about, trade shows are dead, at least for now. Maybe not forever, but for right now, they're 6 feet under, and they're not really happening. So, Miles, maybe you want to start off with this one. I think you understand where Juan was coming from this when we started talking about the topic. But let's talk about that. What does it truly mean, increasing your sales through branding?
Yeah, for me, my thought with first branding in general, you say the word brand, I think all of us immediately have some visual of some of our top brands, maybe our favorite brands, or at least for us, brand recall. If I say the word brand, you're going to think of Nike, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, right? Jerry McCahey on LinkedIn, right? You immediately grab those visuals of certain ones, and it's for no other reason other than they are literally everywhere. I mean, if you take Coca-Cola as an example, you could be driving down the road and you see a billboard of nothing but the Coca-Cola logo. There's no call to action to buy it. There's not telling you where you can buy it. It's just boom there. So you can't forget that logo. So the next time you see the logo, you remember that you've seen it someplace else. It feels familiar. You don't understand why you're buying it. You just buy it. So building a brand to me is building that sense that you're everywhere all the time. You can't escape this. And to use Jerry, right, as an example, like Juan said, I think he's a good example of it. You can't be on LinkedIn in the circle that we're in and not see a post from him one day because he's consistent. He's there all the time. And so you remember his name, whether you know him or not, or if you never even met him, you know his name, you know the company he works for, you know what he does. And when other people can say back to you what you do like that, then you know you've got a good established brand. So how that affects sales, I want to hear Juan's standpoint, right? He works for a brand that's very well established in Entekra. So you're the marketing specialist. How does having a strong brand with Entekra make selling easier for you in your position?
Absolutely. So I think one of our goals here definitely was pretty clear. And Jerry set out to do this was to establish brand credibility. So I'll give you some background about Jerry and just his experience that he has as well with the group that he's been able to establish here in California. So they started a few companies back in Ireland. They have over 150 years of experience all combined. It all began with his father. His father started a offsite company in the early like 1980s or so. And that company later grew to a different company. And that company was the largest exporter at one point of offsite of shells, what they call over there, offsite construction. So it became the leader in Ireland, and they were exporting as far as like, I believe, Japan, Asia, and even the US. And he decided to bring that knowledge, and basically that business was later sold to Kingspan Century, and it became Kingspan Century, sorry. It was sold to Kingspan, and eventually he decided to try his luck here in the US and take that same approach, which is fairly new in the US. A lot of people, when they think of offsite construction or just any type of construction that involves building not in the job site, they think of boxes, they think of modular, which isn't bad per se, but we want to distinguish ourselves by saying that offsite is is a huge umbrella, and modular is definitely under that umbrella. But what we do is very unique, and it definitely takes some of the modular methods, but then it also combines it with panelization, and then it also combines it with a bunch of logistics.
Yeah, for sure. For sure it does. So in your mind, in moving this forward, from your point of view, what are some of the things that you've kind of been learning now that we've been shut down with COVID, right? Because there's the traditional way of, what we always talk about on the show, increasing influence, content, right? And is it content that's relevant? Is it content that people are interested in? And are you in the right group sharing the content, right? Those are all things. But from your perspective, I'd like to hear kind of, what have your thoughts been now that the trade shows are down, even though you guys typically didn't have booths and so forth? It was still a big networking area. What are you seeing from your own mindset as the future of how this is going to move forward?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I don't think Jerry was ever a big believer in having booths at trade shows. And I also see that. I think your money would be better spent in putting a digital ad in that location where the trade show is going to be at, because everyone's going to be on their phone looking at the next place to go or whatnot. And hey, they see a advertisement by Entekra or something, they're going to know about Entekra, whether they see it on a booth or they see it on their phone. So I think your money could definitely be better spent that way. As far as where the marketing is going now, since we don't have a lot of those events, I think we are undermining just how much impact your website can have, and as well as like what channels you're using to drive them to that website. So by channels, it could be like LinkedIn. So it could be like organic post. You don't have to spend a dime on LinkedIn ads. You can literally just do what Jerry did over the last years, where he was just posting. And it's not just about posting. It's also about giving content that has value. Because if you just post content, it'll just fall on deaf ears and you're just posting for the sake of posting. You need to add some value to your content. So it needs to have either entertainment or it needs to have education. So that's what Jerry does pretty well. If you see his post, he is entertaining as well as always educational. So you always learn something about maybe the job site. You learn something about how framing is done here in California or how it was done in Ireland. And that's definitely, I think, a big takeaway that some people should take from this is, even though we don't have a lot of booths anymore, we don't have those same events, there's other ways where we could send that same messaging and do it even better via format of like digital marketing, whether that's photography or that's video creations that send a message to attract a certain audience. And in the digital world, you could do this a lot more targeted than if you were just to place a booth and hope to bring in the bees, So
what do you think, Miles?
Well, I'm curious in your perspective, Juan, about, I like what you said about it should be entertaining or educational. I think that's a good soundbite for anybody listening that's wondering where to start. How do you know that it's entertaining or educational and it's not just, content for content, right? I totally agree with what you're saying, but if you're creating it, you might think it's entertaining and educational, but the rest of the world might not care. So when you're in the midst of planning all this, how can you be sure that it is one of those two things and it's not going to be wasted effort?
Yeah, so like whenever you see a post, you should learn something that you didn't know before you saw that post. Whether it's entertaining or educational, that definitely depends on your audience. So if you know that you have a following of people that like to cook, I would then post something that has a special recipe that is targeted for, let's say this group is vegetarian. I would definitely post something that's vegetarian friendly that will teach them maybe a new recipe. So that's sort of the same take that we take with Entekra. So we know that our audience are usually home builders, framing companies on that case, and we will say something that's educational for them that might be a nuisance, and we do it in a way that is entertaining to where we're able to capture that 3-second window that we have in someone's attention. And Jerry does this really well, and I've learned this from him. It's pretty amazing to see. He'll start off a post with a tagline, and that tagline gets your attention, and you just want to keep reading down. And as you keep reading down, you get that value of, I was just here because it was a funny tagline, but now I'm reading some sort of valuable stuff that will either help me in my next business decision or whatever the case may be. So it all depends on your target.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I you know, this goes back, Miles, and we've talked about it before in regards to making sure you're in the right audience, right? Like, so Entekra is dealing with builders, or dealing with framers, and so forth. And I think, I think that's a big key when you're connecting on social media, when you're connecting on LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever the case is, to make sure you're in the right audience, you're in the right groups, and what have you. And I think this is a big thing too, because I keep hearing, Juan, the learning a lot, right? We're always learning, we're consistently learning, we're constantly learning from each other. So I do agree with that. I think, having an educational point of view in what you do, not posting, hey, I'm having chicken for dinner, checking out the new Popeyes chicken sandwich that everybody's been waiting in line for. But I think it's really about, you got to have content that is pertinent to people and is educational or controversial.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of controversy on which is the better way to build out there and what people think, right? Because it's real easy to ruffle somebody's feathers on social. So I agree with that. So what do we do, Juan, like from your personal perspective, how are companies going to adapt? Not just Entekra, but let's take this to a broader mindset. If you were walking into a company, that has been doing the traditional landscape of trade shows, the traditional, mediocre newspaper ads, and some digital, because some people are still doing it. As a younger person in the marketing industry, how would you take that and run with it in your mind?
Well, I mean, it definitely depends what business it is, but I saw it in the home sales industry. So what they did is, instead of giving now actual tours, person-to-person tours, because of the pandemic, what they had to do and how they had to switch that around was a lot of virtual tours had to be done. And so that meant creating a website where it was user-friendly, creating the actual content that would be user-friendly as well. But it had to be good enough to give them that perception of them being in there. So that is something that I would definitely do. So I would definitely invest in, first of all, getting them to click on my website. So getting either organic reach or by paying for click. So putting some ad placement on places where home builders or home buyers might be already searching through. And once I do that, I would create the content then on my website for them to virtually tour, whatever the case may be. So if you're in the home sales industry or something, it's virtual tours. If you're in the home building industry, then it's showing your service, your product, whatever the case may be, in a virtual aspect. I think that's very important now, and that's definitely what the key players are doing. So they're going to virtual. The next thing after you do that, I believe, is just how you keep repeating the messaging. So once you do have that initial contact and you're already placing the ad, they clicked on your website, but now they still have that time to think of like, hey, do we want to go with this guy or this guy? That's when you keep on following up, and you do that either through your newsletters, which is also another digital marketing avenue. You do that through your content placement. So you keep posting on your social media's account, blah, 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 and you target them. You have to keep targeting them if you want to see that payment that you put on your advertisement back. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, go ahead, Miles. I see you're going to say something.
Well, I agree with everything you're saying, Juan, about where to put stuff. I like to go back a little bit. And you talked about knowing your audience, and you used the example of cooking if they're vegetarians.
Yeah.
So before we even get to placing ads, right? How do I know who my audience is? What are some tools that you use to dial in and to know these are the people that are following me, and here's what they're interested in? So then what type of ad to put, or what to say in the ad, even, so that it does resonate and it's not wasted effort.
Great question. So I think best way to be successful in marketing is you need to know the pain points of your target. So luckily with LinkedIn, like, they literally share everything. So you can literally see what company they work for, what their title is. Sometimes they even post about the projects they're working on. You see what kind of products they're using, etc. So we've been really lucky that most of our clients do come from either LinkedIn, word of mouth, or just because they've heard of Entekra someplace or another. So in order to find and target your audience and know what your audience, what their pain point is, you need to do some research. So by that, I mean, you have to see like what company they work for, what services they're providing, and how you can better deliver to them. So that's something that we do. So whenever we do spend money on advertising, we do organic content, but sometimes when we do want to pay for advertising and we really want to get a certain audience, we usually make sure that they are in the correct industry, that they are having these certain issues. Issues could be like, for example, during the pandemic, many of the job sites were being shut down just because people couldn't work. And what that caused was basically a lot of the planning was delayed. So now that meant that now the home builder was under the gun. Basically,
right.
They needed to build faster, right? So the way we branded this was like, hey, we already built faster. Now we need to tell this home builder that we build faster. So how can we hit the pain point and show them that we've been building faster, and we know that you're in pain right now because you've been forced to shut down, and now you're delayed on this, you're delayed on that. You have to pay your loans, you're building loans, and they just keep on adding up. So we really get in the mindset of the actual client at that point on who we're trying to reach. So we do it in a way that we know we kind of guess what they're going through, and
right.
we see how we can solve those problems. And I think that's the best way to know how to target and when to target.
Yeah, but I mean that comes down to the branding, right? That comes down to that constant message, that constant brand, and driving that out. It's quicker, it's faster, it's better, it's accurate, yep. Less labor, less waste, right? No dumpsters, as Jerry would say. We don't like dumpsters on our job site.
Yeah, so it's faster, better, safer,
right?
Smarter, sustainable.
Yeah. No, I love it. But let's get into the branding a little bit, Miles. Sure. What's your take?
Yeah, I'm curious from your perspective. We've talked a lot about Entekra, obviously, because that's where you're working. But if we add some more context, what's another brand out there that you think does a really good job at consistent branding with messaging that reinforces it in their ads and their organic content?
That's I have to think about that one.
So think about like you're a consumer, right? You buy stuff. Yeah. So what's a brand that you buy things from because of their branding? You got hit with an ad, it resonated with you.
Yeah.
Saw it over and over again. It was consistent, so you purchased.
I would say, I mean, just off the top of my head, I would say Apple, because their branding is so good that I don't even have to think about why I want the new iPhone. It's just so wild that you don't even recognize when you're actually seeing a paid ad by Apple, And I think that's when you're at the level of like you're great, because as soon as someone sees an ad and they get bothered by it, that means you are either annoying or you're just not targeting the right person, and you're just wasting money at that point. But when you see an ad, like at least for me, I see an ad by Apple, and they're saying something that I like, and they're showing me technology that I like, and they're doing it in a way that's not intrusive to my daily life, then I'm gonna buy. So I think Apple's killing it, and I think they'll be killing it for the next few years.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this whole conversation is great, Juan, right? Because there's a lot of young marketing people out there like yourself, right, working for these companies and the corporations, and you're really in tune to the digital side of marketing, right? You understand what you like, you understand how to put it together, you understand website creation, all of these things, and I think that's kind of where Miles was going with that. Like, what's appealing to you? Right? What's appealing to you at your age group? Because one of the things we fight with in this industry is old people like myself, right? We're old and we need more young people. And, part of kind of bringing this all together, having you on the show, is that younger perspective. And I think having that perspective is going to help our industry really grow to the next level. And I think it's just amazing, that you're working with a really well-known brand in our industry. You're learning a lot from working at that brand in the industry, and my guess is you have a lot of your own ideas on branding and digital and where we should be going on this. So, thinking that through a little bit, what's kind of the most exciting thing you see from a digital platform that you would like to see companies use in the future? And I mean, that could be anything from text messaging, to VR, to what have you,
Yeah, I think just having that initial approach of even using the application of technology. So here at Entekra, that's what really captivates like a lot of our young staff here. If you walk down our office, you'll see like there's a lot of millennials here. Most of our engineers are, over the age of 30 or whatnot. They're pretty young, and I would say that that's probably because our use of technology. So, I mean, Entekra could basically you could put a VR headset when you walk into our tours, and you could literally see your home, the frame of it at least, and you'll be able to walk it without leaving an office space or without driving to a job site.
Right.
So it's just the use of technology. You have to think about that. Most of the kids nowadays are growing up with an iPhone and iPad in one hand, as Jerry says, and that's true. If now you set them up to a job where they're not using any technology, you have two phones. There you go. If you set them off to a job now where they're using no technology and all they're using is maybe a computer, that's not going to be very engaging or entertaining for them.
Right.
So I think we need to find ways especially in the home building industry, we need to see technology as our friend, not as like bad thing. So a lot of framers, at least here in California, they see technology as them slowing them down. And I mean, most of this comes from like older framing companies. But as soon as we show them like what technology could do and how it can make it more efficient, how it could increase their profit margins, then they're just, where do we sign? So I think it's definitely that. It's just using more technology and seeing how applications of different technology could better suit your business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really, listen, and I know Miles talks about this, unseen work in his book and everything else about, things that are changing and what's happening in people's lives. And, technology is here to stay, Juan. So it's not a matter of it's going anywhere. I think it's more of a matter of how do we leverage technology in our industry, right? And in this case, how do we leverage technology and the marketing side of this, right? One of the things we're doing now is trade shows, are in my mind are dead for now, but the reality of it is now we have virtual trade shows. Now we have virtual events. How does one take that virtual experience to the next level? Because I'm going to puke if I see another PowerPoint, right? Not literally, but this is what the world's thinking. I'm already working more hours than I have been working because I'm on a Zoom call all day and everybody thinks you're available at the push of a button now, right? So these things are prevalent in what we're hearing all over social media and the internet. So I think from a digital perspective, how do you make it more entertaining and more engaging so you have that real feel? And I agree. I think the virtual reality experience, whether it's walking through a home or from a marketing perspective, how cool would it be to have a hologram pop up from the top of my phone and dance in front of me? Maybe it's Miles Biggs in his new book, saying, "Hey, Dave, look, check out my new books," and I can poke him through the stomach like Winnie the Pooh or something. Right? I mean, but I think that's where it's going. So how do we do that? We're all locked down. How are you communicating with your friends and colleagues?
Right. I mean, I think that's definitely where it's going to go. We're not too far off. But the main laws will always be to make stuff that is engaging, entertaining, and educational. As long as you have those three in some way, I think no matter what channel you use to promote whatever it is you're selling, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, look at this, Miles. We were talking about this guy earlier, right? What's happening, Sean McKay? Miles just subscribed to you, I think.
I did. I just subscribed to the podcast. So yeah, one more.
Yeah. Exciting stuff, guys. Huge opportunities for companies in social media now. Yeah, I think social media it's really the main marketing platform.
Yeah.
I mean, for any company at this point. Right?
Juan, what do you think about TikTok?
Oh.
Is Entekra on TikTok?
If you're not on TikTok, you're missing out on organic, free, unpaid advertising. Unfortunately, we're not on TikTok just because I think our age group is definitely not on there. But I have pitched the idea before that we should be on TikTok. And I think if your age group is under the age of 40, you should definitely be on there.
All right, listen. All right, here it comes.
You go, Dave. Soapbox it, Dave.
It's a fight. It's a fight, Juan.
Let's do it.
I am on TikTok.
Yes.
And I am putting a lot of stuff out. And I have over 90,000 views on a lot of my posts. And I'm 50. I'm not under 40. So I look at it the other way. I think, it's just like YouTube. Could you imagine if you were one of the first companies on YouTube? Could you imagine where you would be today? You wouldn't be doing anything, right? You'd be on your yacht next to, Bill Gates or something somewhere. So, to me, and I know all the controversy with TikTok and, Chinese and all that stuff or whoever owns it. But the reality of it is it's here to stay. That's why Oracle and these other companies are looking to purchase it. And I think that like any other platform, when it is so big that, it's one of the largest video platforms in the world. If you're in business, whether you agree with it or not, and you're not using it, to me, it's a bad business decision, right? Like from that type of standpoint. Now, with that said, you're absolutely right. Most people, it's just their kids doing crazy dances on it, right? I do some dancing on it with my kids and, some of the whatever they do. But I have to tell you, I was very surprised, and I only started using it, so I'm giving you a hard time. I've been very surprised on how many of my videos have gone from 20, 30,000, 90,000, almost 100,000 views. And I'm just taking snippets of what I'm doing on the show.
Yeah. Well, and check the comments. We got something for Juan in there.
Oh, let me see. Juan, get us on TikTok now.
There you go, Juan. You got your blessing. Sign up for TikTok for Entekra.
Yeah, for sure.
TikTok is definitely special. If you were on there a few months ago, you probably are seeing your views go higher because just the amount of people that are using TikTok now. There's no such thing as bad publicity. When there was a scandal with being linked to China, the numbers only skyrocketed. So if you were there before that, your views probably only grew up higher, right? And you're not paying a cent for it. Maybe they're targeting you with some ads or not, but the amount of reach that you're getting organically is impressive. And yeah, I totally agree. We definitely need to get on there.
Well, I think this is an example of, we talk about branding, we talk about messaging. It should be channel specific. So going back to what you said about it being entertaining or educational, entertaining is where your brand could be entertaining on TikTok, right? So that's where you could show, let's get Jerry doing some dances and put it on right on TikTok. Or if we're talking about the younger generation and how housing needs to get them into the housing industry, that's where there should be running some recruiting messaging. Like, here's a job where you can use the VR headset and walking through a house, and educating while also being entertaining and capturing them now. So when it comes time for them to want a job, they're thinking, I want to work in housing. Look at all this cool stuff I've been seeing for years.
Right.
So there's a spot for it. There's no doubt it's not going away. I just think a lot of people, they're not thinking about it that way. It's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to do a dance, but it's not just that. There's so many ways you can do
Absolutely.
TikTok for.
No, I think it's a big opportunity, especially for a company like Entekra, because like Miles said, you are leading the way in panelization. You have a very clear message. It's very easy it's very easy to create the content and put things out there. Like I said, I'm just repurposing our content. I just repurpose a video I've already done. I take a little 15, 30-second snippet of it. And it's funny. I sit there and the ones that go viral, I go,
wow. I have no idea. Right? Yeah.
I have no idea why, but I do think it's powerful. I do agree, though. I with the controversy, like we were talking about with, foreign countries stealing. Listen, when it comes to your children and your house, that's different. To me, we're using it for business, right? They can try and have as much insight into Dave Cooper Live as they want. It's not like I don't have it all out there to begin with, but it's a huge recruiting tool. Like Miles said, think of it as a way to just even get the younger generation in doing it. And it's amazing the video content that some of these people put out. The transitions, if you really understand what it takes to do the videos, which you do,
Yeah.
I think Jerry does as well, for sure. I love it. TikTok, man.
So there we go. I see
I'll come
Jerry
out
again
and
in
do
the
some
comments.
dances with Jerry. Maybe we'll swing from a crane or something like that.
Yeah, he just said he's known to do an Irish jig in the comments.
There you go.
Oh, is that what he said?
There's Entekra's first TikTok video is Jerry doing an Irish jig. I want to see it, Jerry.
I've been known to do
I'll
a
look
bit
tomorrow.
of an Irish jig.
See that TikTok.
we can definitely do this. You know, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, Juan. I think this is great, right? So we have experts on all the time, right? People at the top of the game. One of the things that we need to be better at in our industry is showcasing younger people like yourself.
Yeah.
And talking about it.
I agree.
I think there's a lot to unpack in what you're doing, right? You've been incredible ever since I've known you working at Entekra. Every time we talk, and the professionalism that you have, and you know, one of the things Miles and I talked about, you know, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happens, even for what I do.
Right.
You know, I have people like David Toolin and other people that are helping me edit. I can't do it all myself, and I think it's time as an industry. You know, it's good that we shine the light. You know, what was it, Miles? We shine the light on people who we like to shine the sunshine on people who normally don't. No,
Something I forget.
We like to shine the light on people who normally don't see the sunshine.
Right? Yeah, but there's like you said, Dave. It's often we see one person. For Entekra, it's Jerry. He's the face, right? And it can be easy to make assumptions that he's doing everything when there's folks like you on in the background making stuff happen. So it's important to bring that forward and have that peek behind the scenes. That's what's cool about doing lives, right?
Yeah.
You can be on location, Dave, live and seeing a building get set, or we can go behind the scenes on location with companies and figure out how the work gets done by talking to more than just those faces of the company.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I do. All right. So we got banner going on the thing with Jen and Jerry, and believe it or not, we got quite a few people on YouTube and Facebook chiming in too, man. So, all right, Juan, what's next in your world of digital marketing? We've already been 42 minutes into this. Where are we headed? Like, what do you see personally, not Entekra, not Jerry? Like, what do you see as the next big thing in marketing?
I think virtual is probably here to stay. And virtual is not only here to stay because of the pandemic going on, it's because of convenience. Any business that doesn't sell convenience is not going to be successful. So I think that's what it is. Whether we do digital marketing where we're attracting someone here for a virtual tour instead of actually having to drive here and they see a banner and now they want to stop at our office and get a tour. I think where we're going here is definitely virtual, whether that means putting on some VR headsets to see your home, and let's say you want a bigger closet and now you can see that from the VR headset directly. I think a lot of home builders are definitely taking advantage of some of that VR technology already now to this point. So I think that's where we're going as far as technology being introduced.
I think that's brilliant. Did you hear what he said, Miles? So what are we selling? We're selling convenience.
Okay, I was like, I heard what he said, but what specific point are you talking about there?
No, well, think about that.
It is.
It's the simplicity. We're all competing. You know, let's go into our, oh, geez, I'm losing my mind. Gary Vaynerchuk speech. We're all competing for attention, right? The number one asset in the world is people's attention. So once you have your attention, you cannot waste their time because you won't have their attention very long. And like you said, I can't remember the exact word, but the simplicity, simplifying it, making it easy, like Staples, the easy button, right? Showing that virtual walkthrough, say, hey, listen, don't go home and try and tape up your floors and measure everything out, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, so you can see how big a 10 by 12 room really is. You're saying, put these on. Let's walk through it. Let's enjoy it, right? Hey, Mr. Builder, Mr. Homeowner, check this out. No dumpsters on my site. Yep. That's what you guys are saying, right? And not only that, it translates into knowing your costs and putting 30% back in your pocket.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think that's, I'm going to go back and listen to this and see exactly how you said that. That's a t-shirt right there. That's an Entekra t-shirt.
That's for
right?
sure.
Selling simplicity. That's what I would say.
I think
You guys do the hard work.
Another thing that happens when you boil it down and make it that simple is that you project the confidence. Right? You're not hemming and hawing and trying to fit in all your sales messages into one point. We're just kind of throwing up information.
Yeah.
Know what you have to say, you say it, and you can't say it that and not be confident. So that is a big part of sales too, is they believe you, they feel like you know what you're talking about because you keep talking about the same thing over and over again. And there's that element to factor in as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love it. Well, listen, Juan, appreciate it, man. This has been a lot of fun, and I have to tell you, I think you did a great job. I appreciate having you on the show. I like talking about these things. You guys do a great job in Entekra. The videos and things that you do editing for them and put out are absolutely amazing. You know, so I think you got a long, steady career, and I think working with a company like Entekra is just, I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. No, I appreciate all that. Thank you so much. That definitely means a lot. And I mean, let me know how I can help.
Yeah, no, definitely. We will. You know, it's like we talk with Entekra all the time, always looking for ways to grow, always looking ways to bring our industry together. And I think we're going to see more conversations on that moving forward. So when
Absolutely.
we talk about branding as an industry, it's time for all these separate little pieces of the industry to come together under, at least a one voice. Everybody can have their own little components and MBIs and, MHBA and panelized groups, but we still need to find a way to have a singular voice so we can brand ourselves and push for change in our industry, have a voice, so to speak. So I think we're going to be talking more. That's what we're all about, making it better.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that, Dave. That's a good point. I think the goal of Entekra is not to grow Entekra as the biggest shareholder or whatever the case may be in the actual market that we're at, is actually to grow offsite, which is the method that we're doing. And of course, there's modular building that falls under that, and just growing that and getting a bigger piece of the pie, because that's only going to better the way we do business. So it's only going to better efficiency and quality for the homeowner, as well as like efficiency for the home builder. And it's only going to push us to become better.
100%. I couldn't agree with you anymore, for sure. So, all right, we're going to keep doing it. Actually, Jen had a question for you here. Let me put that up. Keep up the great work at Entekra. Just curious, who is behind all the A-team clips?
I will not take credit for those. That was definitely Jerry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, love it. Love it. Well, listen, I know you guys are all working together, but I have a feeling Jerry's not editing those clips.
No. For the most part, he just finds them. Sometimes he'll have me, hey, could you do something with this? And I'll usually work some magic. Sometimes he just sends them off directly. And hey, you don't need someone like me in your team. You literally could do it all yourself. You could literally just go to YouTube, find something that resonates with your audience, and then say whatever value proposition you're gonna have in your post. If you do have someone like me, maybe you could add some more like fancy editing or what the case may be, and to fall with the brand. But I mean, as far as like messaging goes, I mean, the sky's definitely the limit, and you don't need to have a team.
All right, now it's starting to come out. I'm hearing it. I see Miles smiling, right? You're right. Exactly it. So everybody listening that thinks you need a big team to create content, it's just not the case. It helps.
Yeah.
It definitely helps create a lot of content.
I'll add to that. Before I was here, I mean, Jerry was putting out content 4 or 5 times a day, and that's daily. And that was before my time. And the amount of snowball effect that he got with people in the industry that were learning about Entekra and they were visiting our website, it's just impressive. And that was just Jerry himself. He was doing all that. He was literally snapping a picture, posting it, blah, 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 and that's it. And that grew him to thousands of followers in the span of months,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The big takeaway there is you can do it yourself. You don't need a full production and marketing and media team behind you to do it. And I think that's the key. And like you said, it's just a matter of putting it out there. Take a picture, write something, takes 2 minutes, post it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be as pretty as you want it to be. Just got to do it. Right, Miles? You're the expert, Miles. The expert, Miles.
Yes. Like you say, do it scared, right? You just got to do it.
Got to do it scared. Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, everybody. Love it. Love it. Great conversation. Miles, again, congratulations on your new book, Unseen Work. And also congratulations. Your TikTok is now out. Miles, please put a link so everybody can find your TikTok.
Yeah, send us that.
No, your TikTok. Geez almighty.
Hey, I have
your
TikTok
TED Talk
too.
is out. Your TED Talk is out. So, Miles, put a link in your TED Talks and let's get that up there. I think everybody should watch that. You did an awesome job, man. I love it. And I love the book so far. Haven't read the whole thing yet.
I'd be impressed if you did. You only got it a couple of days ago. So.
But I'm working through it. So,
Thanks,
all right. Hey, listen, Juan, we look forward to watching you grow and talking further and seeing where everything goes. So listen, everybody, if you want to see more videos and more replays of things just like this, be sure to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We have an entire playlist called Increasing Influence where we have marketing people from all over the place, all industries, join us from time to time, week after week, so you can learn more and more about what's going on. Juan, thank you. Miles, no thanks needed to you, man. You're killing it. We will see you guys next time on Increasing Influence Thursday. Be sure to join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. because guess what? We got Adam White on Building Science. We're going to be talking about intelligent membranes. You ever see that guy spraying the purple stuff all over? He sprays his car. Check it out. We're gonna have him on our show tomorrow. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it, and we have a big following. I think there's almost 1,000 people signed up.
That's awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
1 p.m. tomorrow. All right, guys. Juan, don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you after the outro. Miles, hang tight. We will see you guys 1 p.m. tomorrow. I'm Dave Cooper. Miles Biggs Ideas, book writer, TED Talker, and now a new website coming out. And we got Juan Guillen from Entekra helping to drive the business forward all the time and bringing new, young ideas. And I think that's the best part about it. All right, Juan. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Bye,
Juan.
everyone.